Namato Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. First of all, my respect also goes to Venerable Sumana, who is my brother monk, who is the chief abbot of London Mindfulness Meditation Center, who has invited me to give a talk today. And my blessings goes to everyone who are attending this online retreat on the occasion of full moon day of Asala Puja or Asala Puja Purnima, the day when the venerable monks will observe the Vassa for 3 months. And one of the very special days in Buddhist calendar. It is the day believed that Bodhisattva Siddhartha was descended from the heavens to the mother's womb in Kapilavatthu, Nepal. And it is also the day believed that at the age of 29, he, the prince Siddhartha, left the palace for the search, the true search. And after 6 years of dedication and determination, he became the Buddha. And after he became the Buddha, he gave the first discourse on the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, also known as given on this day of Asala Purnima. And on the day when the Venerable Kandanya was also become the first disciples of the Buddha. That's why some classified this day as the Dhamma day, in a way because the Buddha gave the first discourse, and some also regard this day as a Sangha day, because on the day when the Sangha, the Venerable Kandanya was the first disciples of the Buddha, become the real disciples of the Buddha. But most importantly, this day is the day when monks have to observe the Vassa for the 3 months, basically taking this vow that this 3 months time will not travel away from the temple more than 7 days, and that 7 days, and again if necessary, let's say the parents are not well, the communities for the ordination and the issues and such, so 7 days are allowed to go away. But apart from that, monks have to observe this Vassa for 3 months. And as a result, these 3 months become a ways to accumulate the teachings and the practice, the Dhamma. At least these 3 months time, householders or the lay followers can confirm that we will have monks for 3 months, and take these opportunities. Lay people will visit the center or the temples and learn and practice the Dhamma. So on this same occasion, Venerable Sumana has organized this online retreat for you all during this pandemic. And I'm very glad to see and hear that there are so many people are interested and joining in to this program. Today I am invited to give a talk on hindrances, which is also known as nivarana. A hindrance, or the hindrances basically that obstructs our practice, obstructs from attaining our goals, or is simply the obstructions, or that hinders our aims and our practices. And here it is not just for the practice of a meditation or a development of the meditation. I would regard these hindrances that we can see in our day-to-day life too, in daily life too. Suppose you have aims and objectives in your life and you're working through it, but somehow you see something more better, or you see you feel that something is better than what you have now, or you feel that something is better than what is doing, and as a result, for some times you hinder by not committing to practice as you have thought for. And with that, that hinders your practice or your work, and as a result you cannot attain the aims. And sometimes you're working through it and somehow you cannot attain, or you cannot do as you wished for. Maybe one day you have target to do this much, but you cannot fulfill, and again that moment you will generate ill will or hate, and that hate again sometimes towards someone who is working with you, or someone who is close to you, or someone who is partner. And other times again become a lazy, become a tired, and also hinders our work. Other time just simply become a restless in a way that the work that we are doing, whether it is right or wrong, whether the method that we are applying is good or bad, or the method that we are applying may not be working, so we try to use some other methods. And once we have done that, again that creates a worry that we will not be able to attain the objectives that we have already. And other times doubt within ourselves, a doubt about the aims, a doubt about our own self, whether I can do it or not, a doubt about the knowledge, doubt about the companions, so and so. And as a result of that, that hinders our persistence of work, and with that we cannot achieve the goal. So that's why the hindrances that Buddha spoke is not just the hindrances that hinder our practice, but also we can see it affects in our day-to-day life too. Nevertheless, in Buddhism, mostly it is spoken or explained to see that how it hinders our practice and how we give up our practice. So basically it is obstruction, that hindrance, and that hinders our practice. It closes the doors for the success. Okay? So that's why hindrances is one of the very important dhammas and principles that one has to understand, one has to realize, and one has to abandon in order to get the calmness, in order to get the insight, and in order to get the clear knowledge to discern clearly. So that's why hindrances in Buddhism basically means that hinders or obstructs by not able to attain the calmness of the mind, serenity of the mind. And the second is it hinders or obstructs attaining from insight, or able to discern clearly. So that's why the hindrances that Buddha spoke there are two ways to overcome. Number one is suppression, and number two is ability to understand it clearly and eliminate completely. So that's why this hindrances we need to work in order to attain this and understand it. And obviously, when we talk about the hindrances, we cannot overlook the meditation part. So in Buddhist meditation, there are two types of a meditation that you may know. One is samatha meditation, and the second is vipassana meditation. Samatha meditation basically having an object to concentrate, and the mind is fully focused on, fully concentrated. Mind becomes zoned in. When mind becomes zoned in, and then we attain the serenity, we attain the calmness of the mind. But if there is a hindrances, then that hindrances will stop or will obstruct us to attaining so-called the neighborhood concentration or the upachara samadhi, and then also attainment concentration or the appana samadhi. So basically, practice of a samatha meditation is to suppress these 5 hindrances. And these 5 hindrances suppressed completely, and only then we will attain the different levels of concentration. Different levels of concentration. And the suppression is, again, as long as we are contemplating on, then we will be able to suppress it. Otherwise, as soon as we give up concentrating on the object, then these will come back again. And the second practice is vipassana meditation. And the practice of a vipassana meditation is not about suppression. It's about realization. It's about understanding, realizing, and ability to uproot it from its root level. That's why it is in the Satipatthana Sutta part of the Dhammanupassana. The first practice in Dhammanupassana is the practice of understanding the nivaranas. And now, first practice, when we start practicing meditation, we suppress it by concentrating on object. So we are suppressing kama chanda, the sensual pleasure, ill will, the vyapada, the thinamida, the sloth and torpor, and uttaja kukucha, is restlessness and worry and doubt. These all 5 are suppressed by mentally, with your intention, choosing an object to be attending. So with your intention, you are paying attention to an object and fully joined in, and that basically, that moment, you are suppressing these 5 hindrances. But once we have practiced significantly, or we have developed meditation in some levels, and that moment when we are contemplating on Dhammanupassana, these sensual pleasures, ill will, and sloth and torpor, the sleepiness and the restless mind, the worry and doubt, we cannot suppress it anymore. We have to overcome it. We have to understand it and take it away from our hearts and minds, and let them not be the feathers that blocks our attainment. Like a kama chanda, we have to overcome, and once we have overcome, the level of attainment is the anagami. As long as we still have this kama chanda, then we will not be able to attain the anagami, the non-returner. The same as the vyapada, the ill will. Right? So this kama chanda or the ill will is also part of the creation of these desires. It's a kama chanda, kama tanha, kama raga, kama upadana. Yeah? So these are based on the greed or the raga, lust. And these worlds simply take us around in the samsara. When our eyes sees something, pleasant things arises, then we generate lust. When ear hears something which is again the pleasant, then again we go on with that raga or the lust generates. And not just generating these defilements or these thoughts, it's called a kamupadana. We hold on to that view, hold on to that lust, hold on to that thought and identity and existence, and that takes us into the cycle of a birth and a death. And now the practice of a meditation is to understand that, and rather than having a grasping nature, grasping onto this lustful desires or the sensual pleasures, we simply take it away, understanding it and let it be. Let's give you an example. Suppose today you are practicing meditation now, and you're feeling very tired or you're feeling very uncomfortable, and suddenly you may well have thought, oh, meditation is very hard. Meditation is not taking anywhere. It's feeling so bored. Just the sitting, closed eyes and listening to talks of boring, no entertainment, no excitement. Wish if I am at home or properly not attaining this retreat, I would have watched this movie or this series and having seated in a comfortable seat or a sofa, relax. So that is the kama chanda, taking control. Yeah? That's why we need to be very mindful of that. So kama chanda is a desire that takes us into the cycle of a birth and a death. And there is another chanda, it's called the kusala dhamma chanda. And basically the wholesome thoughts, desire to do good things or desire to do wholesome actions, and that basically takes us into the path to the liberation, and that comes under the right effort, knowing this mental state which is lustful and take it away and developing the wholesome thoughts. Even nowadays you can see, if there is a party, let's say birthday party or anniversary party or the graduation party, doesn't matter how busy we are, we can make time for it. But let's say coming to the temple, let's say coming to attain the retreat, doing good things, we always have excuses not to attain. Excuses that, oh, I have this job to do, I have that job to do, I have this responsibility to fulfill, so and so. And that simply the kama chanda is working towards taking us into the cycle of a birth and a death. And again, when we are under the influence of the kama chanda, we never will be satisfied with it. There is a simile is given. It's like a meatless bone that a dog is eating. The dog's hunger will never cease. basically eating meatless bones, never satisfied. So another is sex. Doesn't matter how many times you have it, it never satisfies one. Always wanting to have more and more. And same with the desire to satisfy something, and never satisfies. That's why there's another simile given, is like it is like a borrowed items. As long as the owner hasn't come back and claim it back, we can rejoice, we can entertain, but at the end of the day we have to give up, and all the entertainments will go on. So this is the kama chanda that we have to overcome, particularly when we are meditating. Suppose in a meditation step, suppose you have a cushion, and a comfortable cushion to begin with, and as you sit you began to have a pains in your legs or in your backs, and then began to thought, oh, I should have another more cushions so it makes me comfortable, or I should have seated on a cushion, so on a chair or on a sofa, so I can relax myself. But there is no satisfaction at all. Doesn't matter which state, which position you take, doesn't matter which comfortable seats you take, there always will be discomfort. And that's simply because the kama tanha, the kama chanda. So all what we can do is to realize that, understanding this mental state, then ability to accept, respect, and let it be. And the second, it is ill will, or the vyapada. I think it's very famous. Famous in the practice of a meditation, and whenever you go on teaching, the first question people will ask is the anger, and it's a very classical example, the anger. It's called vyapada, or ill will. And this ill will or hate can be personal and can be channeled to external too. Personal in a way, sometimes you are working and we are practicing meditation, and one day you got a good meditation, and next day you cannot have the same meditation, then that generates ill will, hate. And we'll have hate on the object that you are working on, or it also like the hate on the environment, and so on. And sometimes we will blame other people too, blaming other people that, oh, maybe this is because of that, and anger generates. So this ill will, again, it's a very important mental factor that we can experience in our day-to-day life as well. In the practice, we will experience it a lot. We experience it a lot, and that's simply because these are simply because not happening what we wish for, not happening what we want it for. And in those cases, the first thing we have to do is to generate the contentment, satisfaction. And with that, it helps us to make it workable. Basically, ill will makes us unable to see things clearly and unable to work properly because of the mixing of things. The first thing, we cannot see it clearly because our mind is clouded. Our mind is boiling, or we are boiling like the boil of a water boiled. When you are boiling, you cannot reflect your face from that boiling water. So the clarity has gone. And my advice in that way, that is, no one can make us angry or clouded mind unless we permit ourselves. And the second, it's not workable simply because it's like a copper and a metal and silver is mixed with the gold, and a goldsmith immediately knows that it is not workable. So you have to take away that that take away these metal, silver and copper from the gold, and only then it is workable. It is workable. And this ill will also can cause harm to our physical body and as well as mental body, mental state. And as a result, we do not see the benefit of ourselves and then a benefit of others, and benefit of both. And then that's the reason why that we have to take it away, overcome that. And overcoming this ill will is basically the classical one is the practice of a loving kindness. And this practice of a loving kindness is, again, we start off from sharing it to own self and then to others, which Venerable Sumana had been broadcasting and practicing and leading everyone to practice loving kindness meditation almost every night. So these are simply to overcome the ill will, overcome this hatred, and it's called a vyapada. In terms of the physical illnesses, in Chulakamma Vibhanga Sutta, Buddha said that one of the reasons why we have an ugly face, or not beautiful, not handsome, is basically we are harboring this ill will, this hatred. But again, the question is, what is the beauty or what is the ugliness? And it's based on how we define. So it's not to generalize that those who are feeling that not beautiful or not handsome and feeling ugly are simply because you have this mindset, or you had been this in the influence of this vyapada, ill will. So that is the ill will. And the third, and this the third one is the tina midda, sloth and torpor, or also known as the dullness and drowsiness. So sloth and torpor, sloth or the tina is basically the making us or mentally feeling boredom, mentally feeling dullness, mentally feeling laziness. And this, what happens is that we will not be able to see things clearly. It's like something is blocking us. Sloth and torpor is basically as something is covering, something is blocking us to see things as they truly are. And this, again, we can see that dullness and drowsiness is basically internally stuck. And this, again, many beginners, meditation practitioners will face this sloth and torpor a lot. I also was suffering from it quite a lot, and particularly if I am working physically hard, then when I go to meditation, normally I will go on a dozing off, sleepiness. That's why torpor, the sloth, is the mental tiredness, mental boredness, mental dullness, and the torpor is the physical tiredness. So that's why in this process Buddha gave ways to deal with that. That's why when we meditate first of all we have to check whether it is a mental slothness or whether it is the physical torpor. If that's a mental, then you have to work it out, how to overcome it. But if that's a physical, then you can just go and have a rest. If that's a mental sloth, then you have to energize yourself to pay attention to the object that you are working on. Let's say the breathing in and breathing out. So from inside, you're motivating yourself, energizing yourself to pay attention to this in-breath and out-breath so closely, an ability to make a mental note each time when you observe it. Let's say breathing in, and I know that breathing in. So basically, I know that I am breathing in is the consciously aware of that. So that's a mental note. If you can make it mental note so strong, then this sloth will go away. But if that is the physical sloth, the torpor, this physical tiredness, then there are ways to do it. The first, Buddha said that change the posture. Change the object of concentration. Suppose you are paying attention to the breath, you can change to the pains, or observe this legs, or scan the body scan, or feel the sensations like that. And still feeling sleepiness, change the posture. And after you have changed the posture and you still feel sleepiness, then says this drag like this, pulling it to wake you up. And if still there, then again stand up. And still there, walk. And still there, wash your face. The scripture used sprinkle the water in your eyes just to make you wake up. And if you still feel sleepy, then you just need to go and take a rest. Do not struggle anymore. Yeah? But obviously, it doesn't matter whether we are beginners or whether we have been practicing meditation for a long time. It is bound to have these moments of a sleepiness. Yeah? It is very bound to have it. But if you have been meditating for some times, you will realize that the sleepiness is something that when we are unable to pay attention to the present moment awareness, and our mind is simply settled into the past memories or the past incidents, then it's very easy to doze off. Another time, mind simply went into the deep meditation, and that also possible of going into the sleepiness. That's called a sloth and torpor. And this is like Buddha gave a simile, is like a bowl of water. Let's say bowl of water which is overgrown by the moss. The moss has covered all around, and that's the reason being unable to see properly. And that's why one who has overcome from the sloth and torpor is similar to like coming out from prison. So that's the third hindrances. And the fourth hindrances is the uddhacca kukucca. And uddhacca kukucca is the restlessness and remorse. And now restlessness, uddhacca is a restlessness, and this restlessness again basically is not finding joy, or not finding a happiness, or not finding the practice that we are doing is joyful or beneficial. And as a result of that, we cannot get the calmness, and we cannot overcome this restlessness. And as a result of that, when we are practicing meditation, this is also one of the hindrances, that we normally think of the past and think of the future rather than aware of the present moment awareness, what's happening here and now. Or the object that you are paying attention to, you do not see it as the interesting one. So you have to develop the faith and confidence. onto the object that you are paying attention to. And with that, you will get the concentration. When you have a concentration, then this uddhacca will go away. And the kukucha, whereas this kukucha is basically worry, because you are thinking of too much, and oh, wish I have done this one rather than this one. Or so let's say, oh, I should have meditated, on the cushion like this, or I should have meditated on an object of abdominal rising, falling, rather than the breathing in and out. So with this restless mind, you're thinking and not able to make a decisive onto the object, and gradually you will develop this weariness, that oh, I will not be able to attain, or I will not be able to achieve. Yeah? And that's the reason. Another way of looking at it, restlessness, simply, striving too much for the attainment, or for the attaining the calmness or understanding the Dhamma. If you are striving too much, that also causes this restlessness, and worry simply begins after the restlessness. Yeah? And the restlessness is sometimes not just coming from inside, but also coming from the environment. As we have engaged in our day-to-day life, then that also comes into the restless mind. And particularly unwholesome actions that we have done, then as soon as we meditate, these will come into play and disturbs our meditation. And that is the reason behind why people, or why the meditators are encouraged to observe the 5 precepts before going into any retreats or any meditation states or meditation practices. Because when you are practicing meditation without observing the 5 precepts, all the actions that we have performed in the past, a distant past or a near past, will come and play in our meditation. But as soon as we have observed, we are free from the time when we observe the 5 precepts. Basically, our verbal actions are free, physical actions are free. That gives you a confidence. Although we may have done something wrong, and I'm pretty sure who hasn't got the history, we all have a history, but as soon as we have observed the 5 precepts or 8 precepts, then from now on we can make sure that we are free from any violations, any offense, and that develops the confidence. And with this confidence, the restless will go, worriness will go. And with this, what happens is it brings some sort of a calmness in our mind, and so-called obhasa, the lights achieve. And I have seen so many practitioners, those who have shared their practice, saying that they have attained, or they have seen these signs of a light. Basically, these perceptions of the lights will come, and that is the results of having the calmness of the mind. Basically, the mind has come into the oneness. There is no restless mind. The mind is not fighting with the past or the future, or even with the nature of this object itself. And as a result of that, we will attain this light. Right? Buddha gave a simile saying that when we have the restless mind, it's like a bowl of water steered by wind and ripples and waves, making impossible to see properly, and which we can see it clearly When the water is steered by wind and creating the ripples, it's very unlikely that we can see things inside what's in there, whether a beautiful fish or whether there's any gems or stones or pebbles. We will not be able to see it clearly, and we will not be able to work properly either, and we have no confidence in making any judgments. We have no confidence on our own thoughts and own plans. We will be just the followers rather than the leader. So in order to come away or overcome this restlessness and worry, first we have to do is to observe the 5 precepts. Observe the 5 precepts. When we observe the 5 precepts, we basically free from any past difficulties or violations, and we will be able to overcome it, and we will be able to recognize properly that what are the physical and verbal unwholesome actions that we have committed. So ever since we observe the 5 precepts, basically we are free, and which also narrows mind from wandering around. There will be only one, is the mental state. So we work with that, and ability to, and then developing the faith and confidence on the method, and with that we will be able to overcome this sloth and torpor, the restlessness and worry. The one more things I want to add on in this restlessness and worry is that past is gone. You cannot undo. It's a lesson that we have learned. We shouldn't be repent on that. We shouldn't be having, thinking and going and repenting that wish I shouldn't have done that, or wish I should have taken the right path or the left path. So should not have that repent over the wrong things that one has done, and do not think that I should have done this or that. Go on with what we have now and practicing along with it, and that's how you will be overcoming from the restlessness. So first, build up the confidence. First, practice the 5 precepts. Second, build up the confidence on the object. Build up the confidence. And the third is finding the joy and the benefit of paying attention to the object and dedication. And with that, you will be able to overcome the restlessness. And the 5th hindrance is known as the vicikiccha. Vicikiccha, or the doubt. So doubt is like internal obstructions that obstruct to develop the insight and tranquility. In terms of the tranquility, we can see that when we have a doubt, basically we cannot concentrate. And if in terms of the insight, what happens is that it binds us into, when we don't have an insight, it binds us into the samsara. So we simply going back into the samsara again and again. And a doubt, when we look at the commentaries, it says doubt on the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, doubt on the trainings, doubt on the methods, doubt on the teachers, like that. When we have a doubt, it is basically, closes the doors. And there's another simile is given, like a good seed you have, but you have planted on a stony ground. Then that seed will not grow, that seed will not prosper, and it's become a very unproductive. So that's why doubt, another way of looking at is the very moment when we have a doubt, it's unproductive, it's difficult to product. It's like you have a water in a darkness, so you don't know, and you cannot reflect your face on it, or the water is muddy, so you cannot reflect your face and you cannot see that. And this doubt can be external and internal. And in terms of the this doubt, external or internal, these basically about the past, present and the future, and doubt about the past, present and the future. And whenever these things arises, if we have unwise attention, then we will not be able to overcome. But if we have a wise attention on this, then we will be able to overcome. Yeah. And this doubt can be a good too, if we use it properly. And when we look at the Kalama Sutta, Buddha said that we have to have a doubt. It is very good to have a doubt. But here, doubt doesn't mean a doubt on the teachings itself. A doubt is good if we use it properly. If we are having a wise attention, then doubt is good. But not a doubt and you are not investigating. Yeah? The very moment when you have a wise attention on that doubt, that's become a Dhamma Vicaya. The wisely reflecting, it's become a wisdom part. And when it is become a wisdom part, then that's very, very good. Even the meditation, if you have a doubt, then that doubt will generate wisdom, and it will help you to generate vijja and vimutti. Further on, if you push hard, if you push too hard to attain something, and that also creates doubt, because you've been working so hard and you cannot attain the objectives that you were thinking of, and as a result that generates the doubt. And also a high expectation. If you have a high expectation, then it also is a cause for the doubt. So rather than having this too much hard on yourself or expectation, simply do it as you have. Simply just do it. Or the second way of overcoming a doubt is to listen the dhammas, listen the advice, read the books, and read the good books, and having a kalyana mitta. Yeah? And this is also part of the sotapanna, the third feathers, the doubt. In order to overcome, that's why to be a sotapanna, first is to have a good kalyana mitta. And after you have a good kalyana mitta, you listen the advice. And after you have listened the advice, pondering, reflecting, and after you have reflected on, pondered on, keep it into practice. So only then, once you have practiced properly and investigated properly, and then that's how you will be overcoming that. And this is how you will overcome. The last bit of this practice of overcoming the hindrances, the Buddha advice is, whenever these 5 hindrances arises in your mind, know that these hindrances has been arised in your mind, and knowing as they truly are. Understand that you have got these hindrances in your minds, ability to understand that and to be understood properly, and then after you have understood it, realize it and abandoning it, and then developing the concentration, developing the mindfulness and clear awareness, and cultivating towards it, and with that you will be attaining the full liberation. Yeah? So that's why these 5 hindrances is also a part of the feathers that we have to overcome. Doubt, as being last of the 5 hindrances, is the qualities to be overcome by the sotapannas as a third quality, whereas this kamachanda, greed, and vyapada, the hatred, and the tinamida is the ignorance or the moha. These things also part of the feathers that one has to overcome. The very moment once you have overcome it, then the first you will attain is until the third noblehood, and finally you will be able to attain the vijja and vimutti, and that's how you will overcome. But obviously it's not easy to overcome, particularly even the first one, the kama tanha, the sensual pleasure. It's very difficult to see as well, very difficult to identify it's coming into our mind, whereas the vyapada, the ill will and the hatred or the anger, it's very easy to detect, very easy to see, and very easy to work on with it. And similarly, the restless mind also, we can see it a lot and we can work on that too easily, whereas the first kama chanda, the sensual pleasure, sloth and torpor, and the doubt, it's very difficult to overcome. But with the practice, persistent practice, gradually we will be able to overcome it one after another, and then finally we will be able to completely overcome. And that's how we will be stepping on this from the Dhammanupassana. Once we have overcome it, then we will be able to understand the five aggregate. And what are these things? And once we have overcome these five aggregate, then we will be developing the understanding to abandon the avidya and tanha, so the ignorance and cravings or desire, and then developing the serenity and insight. With that, once we have developed the serenity and insight, then we will be realizing true knowledge and wisdom, which leads to the liberation. So on this occasion of this the Vassa day, Vassa retreat, all you've been practicing, although you've been practicing online, may this talk will help you to overcome all these five hindrances and finally able to attain the true knowledge and vision, and also calmness and serenity and insight. So again, would like to thank you, Venerable Sumana, for inviting me to be part of this retreat, and may all who are following, who are attending this retreat, attain calmness, attain the wisdom, and attain the true knowledge for the liberation. With this practice, may you be free from all kinds of sufferings, and may this be cause for the liberation in the near future. With the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, may you be well and happy. Bhavatu Sappha Mangalam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you.